SoundCloudFM.com and iHeartStation.
Nancy, Smokehouse is the urban heat. Shout out to Coach Love. Listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. On the urban heat, just calling. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Coach La La. If you got something on your mind, you can call him, you can hit a line. She the realest, oh, she the realest. You can tap in, love, oh, get the business. To empower you, so that you can do every and anything that you want to. It can hear it, Coach It's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. On the urban heat, just calling. It's with Coach La 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 La. Coach La 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 La.
What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach La La La, your favorite around the way therapist. I'm live in the Urban Heat Studios right here in Hyde Park, Massachusetts, and we are radio with a purpose. So what does that mean? That means every time that I do a show and anybody here at the Urban Heat does a show, we're trying to make sure that there is a purpose behind it. Although we laugh, we joke, and we have a good time, there's always meaning, there's always purpose, there's always intentionality. So tonight on Conversations with Coach La, we are cooking up something very nice. It's fabulous, darling. We're cooking with a purpose. And we're going to talk about food. And soul food, I would say, is one of the things that's true and dear to my heart. I'm a Black woman. Some of y'all know I'm thick. You know, they would call me thick. Big boned, which we know is not a real thing anymore. But, I got some meat on my bones. So, I grew up eating soul food. And, some people will have mixed opinions on this food in terms of health, food equity, and all these type of things. But for a lot of us, this is where we got together, where we broke bread, where we made connections, where we helped our grandmothers and our aunties prepare food. I remember cutting collard greens and cutting up the sweet potatoes and the white potatoes and learning about life in the kitchen, making soul food. So, we have a beautiful sister. And, as you get to know people, because I met her via social media, so I've seen her for a while doing her events and just, being an advocate with a big personality, which I think we share in common. But as I got to know more and more of her story, I said, wow, she sounds like a bet on self story. She sounds like somebody that I really want to break bread with. And I thought that all of my listeners needed to know. Then I learned even more that she had an associate's degree in criminal justice and a minor in juvenile delinquency. And I said, wow, this sister she's about her business and she's about the community. And then she told her story. Shout out to Inside the Ride. She was talking about how she got into becoming an actual chef and getting her certificate in culinary arts. But she grew up cooking. She actually right now is in South Carolina, back at home. So she ain't playing when she says she's a Southern girl. But she is more than just a culinary arts enthusiast. She is an advocate for two really big causes. And one of them, is going to be near and dear to my heart because she does an event for mental health awareness every year where she rocks the green and she really puts out great material to encourage people to live and to take care of their whole holistic mental health. But then there's another event that she does that's getting ready to come up, which is near and dear to her heart, which I'm not going to tell everything about that. I want her to be able to share more about that, which is for sickle cell anemia. And that is something that hits people of color, the BIPOC community, pretty significantly. So she's going to tell us more about that. But she does 2 annual events, and the one for sickle cell anemia is coming up. And she donates 100%. You hear that? 100% of the proceeds go back to awareness in supporting people who are grappling and just trying to navigate this awful disorder. So I think that's remarkable. She showcases her commitment consistently with both of these events by using what she does best, cooking, right? Her events, if you've ever been to them, the spread, baby, the spread is something to see. So you definitely, if nothing else, you go and to go get some good food if you come to the event. But she has a passion and a love for her community, and that can be seen in every post that she makes. If you ever get a chance to just be in her essence, her smile and just her overall energy is very warm and inviting, like a good buttermilk biscuit, baby. So I am excited to bring her on to Conversations with Coach La. She said one of her favorite quotes was by Michelle Obama, and it said, "Success isn't about how much money you make, but it's about the difference you make in people's lives." I think that that is right on point, and she is an excellent guest to be here with me tonight to talk to all of you wonderful listeners out there. So let's welcome to Conversations with Coach La. What's up, girl?
Hey y'all. Hey. How y'all doing? Thank you, Coach Law, for giving me this opportunity to come on your show. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
I'm
As she
you.
as she said, I'm in South Carolina, y'all, and just enjoying the weather. So I'm sorry I wasn't in the studio, but I had to be here, so I didn't want to disappoint. So we made it happen, and
Made
I'm
it
so
happen.
grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here too. I this is my second show in a week in the last 2 weeks where my guest was on location somewhere else. I said us sisters are making it happen and moving and shaking. But this is the life of an entrepreneur. I think people don't
Yes.
realize that it's not glamorized. Like we be working. We definitely grind. So when it's time for us to relax, we
Yes.
relax because
Yes, for
are
sure.
constantly everything to our business. We are the business managers, we are the marketers, we are customer service. We're
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Everything.
We're everything to
Everything.
our business. So what didn't I tell the people? I always ask people, okay, great. I love you. I loved your bio. I hope I did you justice and how I introduced.
Yes.
But what do you want people to know? Who is Shonda Little?
Shonda is a fun loving person. I love life. I'm very sociable. I'm a go-getter. At the end of the day, I'm a go-getter. I'm about my business. I'm about family. I'm about spreading love. I'm about all of that. I think that one thing that stands out about me is that I love people. I have love for my community. I have love for people. If I can be a part of something, I'm there. If I can't be a part, if I can send a donation, I'm there. So however it is, I try to support as much as I can. But Shonda is, not only am I a criminal justice major, like you said, I'm a chef and I love cooking. I lived in South Carolina well over 20 something years, went to college, finished high school, all of that. So when I moved to the north, it was like, okay, I'm going into my career thing. But I learned the love of cooking from the South. My mother, born and raised in the South Carolina too. She's in Boston. She's a Boston girl now. But, living down here, I learned the fundamentals of soul food and what soul food really means to some people. If you're not from the South, then I feel like you don't know the true meaning of soul food. You have to have some sort of background, right? From the
Yeah.
South to
I,
know a
I,
little bit.
yes, I think you're right. I think food has always been a connector anyway. I mean, I
Yes,
think transcends culture that food brings people together.
yes,
I think with soul food, it's interesting that we call it soul food, but I think it's just the essence that when people have cooked it, they cooked it with love. Like everything
yes.
was really touched by their hands. Like everything was just always home cooked. So like I said, from the cooking of the collard greens, the cutting of the potatoes, like everything was touched by someone's hand. And I think that in itself really embodies the nature of it, right? Now we have
Exactly.
so much processed food But back in the day, everything was just homemade. They even down to the meat was being cut, cleaned, and slaughtered. I know for y'all vegetarians, y'all like, oh Lord. I mean, if you grew up down south, you just gotta understand that they was cooking everything live.
Everything.
Everything was
Yes.
live. It wasn't processed stuff.
No.
So I think, that's why I think they call it food that was good for your soul.
Good for the soul. And you can taste the difference. When I always tell people, you can tell food was made out of love just by the taste of certain ingredients in the food. If you can taste certain ingredients of the food, you know a person actually put the work in and made this food taste really well. Like, because sometimes I go to different places, and I try not to be a critic of food and not be so judgmental. But sometimes I sit and eat certain food. I be like, really, this is how we cooking now? Like it, because you're so. I be, Coach, you just don't understand. Like I be at events, and if someone there who knows me and there's like a spread of food, they be like, Shonda, what you think of that? And I'll be like, yeah, y'all not about to set me up for this one. So I don't give my opinions. I just keep it to myself.
And
But
people's palates are different too. Like I think,
yeah.
I'm not a big salt eater, so if you
Hmm.
have salt and something's really salty, I also don't y'all come for me because I didn't call for you. I don't eat hot sauce, right? So a
Ooh.
lot of black people eat hot sauce. And so I don't. So if you have hot sauce on something, I'm not gonna like it. My face is probably gonna get all balled up, and you'll probably be like, "Girl, this is good." What you mean you don't like hot sauce? Certain level of everybody does have a different palate, right? And
Yes.
what you like, what seasonings you like, what spices you like.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I think true foodies though, we will try stuff and at least give it a shot. I think as I've
Yes.
opened up my experiences with food, because that's what I'm gonna say. I experience food. I eat,
Hmm.
live, and I experience food. And as I've been trying to find different alternatives, I've been
Hmm.
trying things like oyster mushrooms. I had never had an oyster mushroom before.
Ooh. Sounds
That
good.
was a total different taste for me. I have
Hmm.
tried jackfruit. Never tried no jackfruit before.
Oh,
So
really?
don't tell my son to eat that though, because he'll be like, "You want me to eat a jack of what?" Traditional. So I think as I've gotten older, I've
Hmm.
appreciated other cultures and other tastes because when
Yes.
I tell you I was a soul food connoisseur, I didn't want nothing that wasn't macaroni, cheese, fried chicken. Like if it wasn't made like that, I didn't like it. I thought it was nasty.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I don't know, people. Y'all might have to just, open y'all horizon to different flavors.
For sure.
But then
For
there are
sure.
it's just nasty. I still don't like okra. And I know that's a,
Oh,
a,
really?
a southern staple. I can't stand okra, liver. Ugh,
Oh,
yeah.
smother liver with onions? Come
I don't,
on, coach.
I don't like it. So I don't like it. I don't like it. You bring that,
Yeah.
I don't care who make it, I'm probably still gonna be like, "Ugh." So
I mean, yeah, you definitely gotta open your palate to different food because I fell back on a lot of the southern food too because of health reasons too. But you can always find options and how to go around that. In the South, they cook with fat meat and all of that other stuff. I don't cook with that stuff. I cook with smoked turkey. I think it tastes better. So you can always finagle, but you still have to have some of the flavors there because I feel like that is the key to a lot of dishes that people who quote unquote say they cook in southern food. you know you got to know the difference between authentic southern food. There's a difference.
well, I have had the pleasure of trying at least two of your things, your fried chicken and your macaroni and cheese, which I would say was delicious. I'm definitely looking forward to experiencing more of your food. So some of
Yes.
the things I ask people on this show, because it's grounded in mental health, which is something that's also near and dear to your heart. What does
Yes.
therapy mean to you? Now, everybody has come on and has different definitions, but from the Shonda Little perspective, what's therapy mean to you?
Therapy for me is just taking time out for yourself. Like, I think as especially as women, not only just black women, but women in general, we wear so many hats and we get bogged down in work life, you know, friendship life, kids, like we get bogged down in so many different ways. So we have to find the time to take time out for ourselves. It could just be being in a room by yourself, just letting a lot of stuff go. Like, it's called your happy space. So be in a space where it's just you, and the doors closed. And, some people call it their prayer room. You could call it whatever room you want to call it. It's a space for you away from everybody. Sometimes people be like, especially with me, I work a full-time job and I still cater, so I'm all over the place 7 days a week. I don't get a break. My break is where I'm at now, because I'm always on a go. But I feel like for us as women, we have to recognize when we need to just stop, take time out for ourselves, because we don't do that. And that helps with your mental, because when you're able to breathe and relax your mind, you think clearly, you think better. And because sometimes we don't do that. And I'm speaking for myself, because I know I don't do that. I don't take a lot of mental health breaks and stuff like that, because I'm always on the go. So I think just taking space away from the world, um and including social media. Social media is the same thing. We just gotta get away from all of that stuff. it,
Yeah,
it helps stimulate your mind a lot. Yeah.
you dropped a lot of jewels. So you guys are tuned into the Urban Heat 98.1 FM. We are talking to Shonda Little, and this is Conversations with Coach La. So some of the things that you mentioned that really stuck out to me was quiet time and taking space and having a place in your house, be that your prayer room, your quiet room, to just be able to, shut down. And I'm not talking about isolation, because sometimes people get that
Yeah.
confused. Like,
Mhm.
but if you're constantly being stimulated socially and you're working,
Mhm.
you're always out and about, it's just being able to quiet your mind and your spirit and to slow down.
Mhm.
And I think
Mhm.
that's so important, especially as we're talking about food and we're talking about not taking time for ourselves. Some of the things that are really important, especially to Black women, right, is our health and around what we eat and weight and all of those things. Big
Mhm.
Mama was like not taking care of herself. She might have been in there cooking and doing all of those things, but we gotta take care of ourselves and we gotta eat
Exactly.
better too. So I'm loving that
Ex-
you're talking about alternatives, eating healthier. I was looking
mhm.
at something on social media and they said if you eat something that's not alive, the other word, eat something that is alive. So like fruits and vegetables and greens,
Mhm.
all of that stuff is like live food versus
Yeah.
animals, which are not alive, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I think, having a balance. Balance is
Yeah.
important.
Balance is very important.
You
And
mentioned
and exercise. Huh?
you mentioned you're not having balance and you're not taking a lot of time.
No. I mean, for this summer has been so busy for me. I don't get that. I work right now. I work in an environment that keeps me busy. So I work with women with addiction, and also the kids is a component to that program also, where not only that we're dealing with women with addiction, but they're able to have their kids there. So I'm dealing with a high motivated uh, program where you're on the go all the time with these women, and just trying to support them. So you're constantly talking, you're constantly redirecting, you're doing a lot of stuff. So well, for me, my mind don't get a time to relax. So because when I leave work, if I'm not going home, I'm in my notebook looking at my dates, to see if I got anything scheduled. So I'm constantly on the go. And sometimes my bestie be like, Shonda, you just need a break. You need to just take a day for yourself. And it's hard, you need it, but until we can recognize the need, we're not gonna stop doing, because it's always someone pulling at us all the time, and that's me, you know. I, so I that's something I struggle with a lot, because I don't get that downtime as often as I should have it for myself.
It's
So
interesting. So many people say that they don't get the downtime, and I shout out to your bestie, but you got to just take it, because
yeah,
it's gonna keep life's gonna life, and people are gonna always need something,
yeah,
especially if you're in fields that are helping professions.
hmm,
There's no end, right? People that
yeah,
need help always are gonna be more people that need help. Like it's like a faucet. You got to
yeah,
turn it on and off. So
yeah.
I hope I encourage you. I mean, I know I've seen you outside, and it looked like you were taking some moments to at least it didn't seem like you was working, because
Yeah.
I saw me, I wasn't working. So I'm
Yeah,
in.
but sometimes even for me, coach, to be honest with you, work is actually a good motivation for me. Sometimes when I'm in that space, I'm good. It's not like my body is drained or nothing like that, because I'm in a space that I enjoy. So sometimes, even, and it all depends on your work life. It depends on, how much of things you got going on that plays effect to it. But sometimes for me, that I'm in a good space where cooking for someone, because I look at the aftermath of it. So if I do an event and I'm cooking, in the midst of the cooking, it may be a lot, but it's the aftermath once the cooking is done, and you see all your plates are empty, people got smiles on their face, people are coming to you and it's like, oh, Shonda, that food was good. That brings joy to me. Like I be excited. I'm smiling from one ear to the other, especially when you see plates that are empty. That's a good thing.
So
So
it sounds like cooking and food is your therapy.
oh yes, ma'am. I love it. I really do enjoy every aspect of it. When I was in school, doing my culinary certificate, I was like, the one thing that my chef told me, he said, when you came in, you had the name of your business already written down, and you was already claiming it. And that's what it is. You speak things in existence, and I'm a big faith believer. I believe God can do any and everything that you ask him to do. So I claimed that name, and I said, and when I did it, I researched it. When I graduated from my school, I went down to City Hall with my coach, and I got all of that done. So I was determined, and I'm so grateful to come so far, 6 years in, almost 7 years in, and still going tough. So, that's my testimony. I don't need to be rambling, but that's a testimony for
Girl, that
myself.
ain't that ain't a ramble. That was called a, as you said, a testimony, a praise report, a
Yes.
highlight, a win report. That I think, one of the things I loved about your story was everything you just said was spot on. I think you gotta manifest it. You gotta have a belief and a faith. I
Hmm.
call it, betting on yourself. But I think
Yep.
when you know, hey, I found something that I love to do despite getting paid. Like I
Yes.
would cook and I would make food even if no one ever paid me to do it. I found a
Hmm.
passion, a purpose, and then you
Yep.
connected it to doing community-based events. So when you can find the intersection like that, that is
Hmm.
something that so many people are searching for in this world is
Yeah.
purpose.
That's right.
Purpose and
Yes.
meaning. So
Yeah.
when you get that, it doesn't feel like work. So I think
No.
what we really got to say, right, is that you're not working. And that's part of why you don't feel it.
Yep.
When you
That's
are
right.
doing what you are designed to do, what God has given you to do, you don't work a day
Hmm.
in your life.
No. No.
You know that? You don't work a day in your life. You
No.
don't even feel it. And I
You
have to
don't.
say that I agree with you, and I feel the same way. Like some people, like you do so much, coach, and I'm like, it's not until people remind me
Mm-hmm.
still, and I start writing it out that I go, wow,
Yeah,
you really do a lot.
that's
Because while
right.
I'm doing it, I'm like having a good time, and I'm
Yeah,
the ideas, and I'm like, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do that. Okay, execute. Oh
yeah.
wow, I did it! Yay! And then
And
it's the next thing. So
that's right. Yeah,
I love that. I love that. So I hope that a lot of people can realize that even with a full-time job, you can have something you have a passion to do, and
that's
if you
right.
really love it and enjoy it, it won't feel like work.
It won't feel like work. And know your worth. You got to know your worth. Sometimes people don't. And I'm saying this because I had to learn the same thing. People would tell me about my prices, and I'm a giver. So I'll be like, all right, so I'll do this, I'll do that. But after a year in, and the same people are still saying the same thing, and I'm like, I had to, have conversation with myself. I had conversation with my best. I'm like, wow. And it be our own people sometimes, So it's like, know your worth. Know
Mhm.
your worth. And it's okay because you're not for everybody and everybody's not for you. And be okay with that.
Hey, y'all heard that, right? Y'all heard that. I know you didn't hear it here first, but you've heard it again because some of y'all heard that before. You are not for everybody, and it's okay. You
It's
know,
okay.
every business, right? You have small, medium, and large size businesses, right? And they all cater
Hmm.
to a different clientele. And
Hmm.
understanding your clientele is so important because your price
Hmm.
point is not going to be for everybody.
No,
Everybody's not driving a Mercedes Benz. Some
no.
people are driving a Dodge, right? Like, and Mercedes Benz is not trying to lower its price to be a price point with Dodge, and that's okay. Like,
Yeah,
there's space and a place for everyone, and it
that's
doesn't
right.
matter if your price is lower that you don't have value or you don't have worth. And I think
Yeah,
that's the other thing. You know,
yeah.
people tell me all the time as a therapist that I could be charging more money. I know
Hmm.
that, right?
Hmm.
But I also am catering to a certain clientele, and I've
Yeah,
done my research on what that price point would be, or I'm going
yeah.
to end up pricing out people that I want to serve,
Yes,
right? And so you
yes.
just want to know what's your market and who are you trying to cater to. Um,
That's right.
goes for event planning. There's different price points for
Hmm.
weddings and everything else. Like everything has
That's
a price.
right. Everything.
You're dropping some genuine
Yes.
knowledge that I think knowing your worth is understanding who is your clientele.
Yeah. Know your audience. You have to know them.
Audience. Know your audience. Exactly.
Yeah,
When you're going for a corporation versus a startup, right? So if you're
that's
going for
right.
their budgets are going to be totally different than if
That's right.
you're into small businesses. You may need to
Yeah.
go get some grants or do some sponsorships or do
Yeah.
some other stuff because they may not have the budget. Right?
Exactly.
But that does not mean you're not worth
Exactly.
what you're charging. So I
That's
think
right.
that's really awesome. So once again, you guys are tuned into the Urban Heat 98.1 FM. This is Conversations with Coach Law. We come on every Sunday at 10 p.m. and we have conversations about all things life. We're debunking myths about mental health one conversation at a time. So we were talking about you not taking the time, but as we've
Hmm.
been talking, I've been reframing, slightly, to sort of look at that from a different perspective. But
Hmm.
it sounds like you have a really rich and juicy life, right? With support, support systems, you
Yes.
got your church family, you're doing something that you love, you got a best
Yes.
friend. If you can have at least one best friend, you're blessed. Um,
Yes.
you have a significant other that you talk about from time to time, but you keep that he's
Mhm.
not secret, but you are private with that. You got a lot of beautiful, like just great things in your
Yes.
in your circle, in your life, which is
Yes.
beautiful to see and
Yes.
to know about, which I think
Yes.
helps you balance.
Yes. Church definitely helps me balance a lot. I don't miss a Sunday, and if I do, I believe me, I regret it because to me, church, being being in a service, getting fed that word, and it helps me get through my week because sometimes my week get hectic. Shout out to my church family, Greater Love Tabernacle. My bishop is William E. Dickerson. Um, my church family holds me down, like seriously supports everything that I do. And you can't ask for a pastor like Bishop Dickerson, because he holds me down a lot. When it comes to friendship, I have a lot of associates that I communicate with, I talk with, but to have a best friend that supports you, feed into you, pray with you, and all of that, like you need some of that foundation to keep you balanced. Only because you know the things that we go through in life, we sometimes you don't want to tell everybody. You have to have one person that you can trust with your stuff. Cause I'm sociable, but I'm private at the same time with certain things, aspects of my life. But if you ask me a question, I'll answer it. It just depends on what you asking. You know what I'm saying? So it's like having someone to talk to and help you brainstorm certain things, because I ain't got like this overnight. There's times where I just had to humble myself, and pray on certain things, and ask God, like, am I doing something wrong? Because sometimes you have to have conversations with yourself, in order to look at the bigger picture at times of certain things. Because sometimes I ask myself, am I crazy, or is they crazy? And what I've came to realize at this point is like sometimes it's not a me thing, it's a you thing. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you gotta kind of look at stuff like situations like that. Like when people do certain things, is it really about me or is it about them? And it works for me. That's why I
Self-reflection.
smile. Huh?
Self-reflection is
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. Self-awareness is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Self-compassion and extending empathy both to
Yes.
yourself and others helps, right? Because
Yes.
oftentimes you're right. It's not a you thing, it's a them thing,
Mhm.
right? And then when it
Yeah,
becomes a you thing is when you internalize it and you
that's
start
right.
making it about you
Yeah.
versus doing a step back and going, huh, okay, what is there some truth in this? What part did I
Hmm.
play? I'll take some accountability and then here's your stuff back.
Yeah.
Here's
There
your
you
part
go.
back. You can take that.
You can have
I
it.
I own what I can own, and then I ask for
Yes.
people to really give each other grace. I really do.
Yes.
Like none of us really know what we're doing, to be honest.
Yes. Yes.
Like everybody is trying to figure it out. We all
Hmm.
are doing the best we can with what we've been given. And then there
Yes.
has to be a margin of error and for people to sort of make trip up.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
if somebody is willing to take correction, because I'm also a member of Greater Love Tabernacle. That's where I got saved. And
Not, oh,
take,
really?
yeah, taking correction and
Yes.
being able to take accountability, I think
Yes.
is more important than making them is the biggest component versus
Hmm.
trying to not make a mistake.
That's right.
Is to
That's
be able
right.
to sit with that and be able to take responsibility and
Yeah.
apologize, generally apologize.
Yeah.
know, I think that's really important too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your events. The one you
Yeah.
have coming up. Um, Sickle cell is near and dear to your heart.
Yes. Yes.
So I know that it is an abnormal condition that really affects your body,
Body. Yeah.
a lot of pain, fatigue, and a lot of hospitalization for a lot of
Yes.
people. Like it's a really tough
Yeah.
condition.
Yes.
So
Yep. And so,
goes out to anybody who's managing it because all you can do is manage it. There's not a cure
that's
for
it.
it.
There's no cure.
So
There's no cure.
how did you end up deciding that this was something that you wanted to raise money for?
So, my sis, I have two nephews. who has sickle cell disease. And, just over the years, watching my sister raise two boys by herself and dealing with this situation, when I wanted to find a way for me to be a part of it, because I didn't know much about it. I just saw, sometimes I would see my nephews in pain, because it's in the bone, it's in the bloodstream, they have to get blood transfusions and all of that. So, and that's on a constant basis. So seeing that, when I started cooking and being in a community more, I came up with something that where I felt like this would be my part that I can play, where I can give back to that organization. And that's where the sickle cell anemia gala came from. And it's because they have the disease, and I wanted to be more supportive of it. I wanted to educate myself around it, learn more about it, and also I'm trying to get them to participate with me. One of them is a little shy, but he's 18 now, so and he still struggles with it. And the younger one, he still has complications, which especially during COVID, it was a lot for them, because their immune system is not equipped for some of the sickness and stuff that we have, like little colds and stuff like that. So that's where the sickle cell anemia gala came from. And our first year, we raised over $2,000, and we gave back to the sickle cell anemia organization. And then the second year, we had a doctor from Mass General Hospital who did a nice presentation around sickle cell, and we had a few people that came and told their story about how their lives were impacted with the sickle cell disease. And then we have some who are just carriers of the trait, and they'll tell their story. So I think for our community, which I had to learn this, that I didn't know that it's more affected in the Black community. So it's teaching and educating our community about this disease and how it can affect us. And I think for the most part, we've been reaching our goals each year. More people coming in, more people want to talk. When I'm in events, people will be like, I have sickle cell. Like, okay, then you can be a part of the event. I love to have some of the people that either have the trait or have the disease come and tell their story, because your story can be really impactful or helpful to someone who's actually going through that. I also had a mom who had a child which she wound up losing, who came and told the story for the child. So it's learning all these different things, and getting it out into the community. So I love what I'm doing. I wish I can get more people on board and coming to the event, learning about it, talking about it, passing the information on. We have material that'll be there that's going to talk about it. We have our doctor who's going to be there, Dr. Azar. He's an amazing person, where he has his own organization that have the families live in housing where they can, because it's hard for them to get to to appointments and stuff like that sometimes, especially when they're hospitalized. Sometimes they're hospitalized, so they house them, and the money that's being donated to them help them with that process. So when your money is going to a good cause and is helping someone, that's very impactful. So that means we are getting the information out. We are getting the job done. So this year, September the 28th, at the Bruce Boylan Building is where the event will be held at. And we're looking for a sold out event. We always get a sold out event. So we're looking for a sold out event. We're gonna have 14 small Black business owners, vendors that's going to be there. We're going to have our Ray Roars from Urban Heat that's going to be there. We
Yes.
also going to have, yes, Eb, who is going to be our host. So we're looking for an impactful event, live entertainment. Of course, Southern Twist is gonna have her spread there, so it's gonna be a fun time. We get to dress up in our gowns, like it's formal, because I like when we're fancy. I'm fancy, so I like when we fancy. So
Yeah.
come out and have a good time. We gonna party. We gonna do all of that, you know.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
you have Melly B as your host. You have
yes,
performance by Ray Royale. Um,
yes,
Boiling Building is one of the most beautiful spaces we have in Boston because it's the rooftop and it's over Nubian Square. Um,
yes,
you got food, you got vendors. The tickets are currently on sale on Eventbrite.
yes.
Are you still doing early bird tickets right now?
Well, early bird tickets will be up until the end of August. So that last week of August. So September 1st is when the tickets will go back up to $80. So
So
the tickets right now are $65.
currently the tickets are $65. You can get them on Eventbrite. It's the third annual sickle cell awareness gala that is being brought to you by Southern Twist. Shonda, I am excited about the event. I know Urban Heat will be in the building. This is an event that we're
Yes.
definitely supporting and encouraging people to attend. Do you have a goal this year? I know you mentioned your first year, your second year, and now your third year. Other than sold out, is there a particular goal of amount of families or money that you're looking to raise?
There's not a particular amount. I feel like we want to supersede what our first goal was $2,000. So we can get past that, then I'll be more than happy. But families, I want the families to come. If you are a person who is going through sickle cell, who have the disease or the trait, you can inbox me. We can get you in free of charge. But however, if you want to tell your story, we can get you there too. So I'm looking for that. Also, if sometimes seniors, I'm a giver. So I do giveaways. Follow me on Instagram. Instagram Southern Twist 18. You can follow me on Facebook, Shonda Little. I do giveaways. I'm definitely doing giveaways next week. So if you're looking for a free ticket, check out my live because I be live in sometime.
You live it, y'all. So, but I think it's really important to be a part of the solutions. Right?
Yes.
I think we as people at times, some of us can focus on the problems and do a lot of complaining about why things are the way that they are. But for those of
Mhm.
us that consider ourselves to be Christian, spiritual, believe in a higher being, you're not exempt. None of us are going to be omitted from things happening in our lives or witnessing things happening in other people's lives. It's
Mhm.
all throughout the Bible, crisis and
Yes.
trauma and pain.
Mm.
It's so caught up in why me, why not you, and then if
Yeah.
it's you, then what are you going to do about it? How are
Yes.
you going to contribute to finding solutions, and helping people to be able to manage and live despite
Mhm.
whatever they're going through. So I love that that's what you're doing with this, is giving hope.
Yes.
Hope is one of the biggest things. Hope, optimism, and resilience. And I think
Mm.
we can find ways to celebrate, support, encourage people. Get hope. They find hope in that. When they see
Yes.
they're seen and they're heard and they're not forgotten about. Oh
That's
my
right.
goodness, that's like the definition of feeling love, right?
That's right. That's right.
So the other thing we talk about on this show is what we call a bet on self moment. Which, if
Mhm.
you follow me on social media, I'm always doing hashtag bet on self.
Mhm.
And my father, who passed away 6 years ago, used to always tell me when I got in those moments of feeling discouraged or not knowing my worth or being
Mhm.
worried about whether or not I would make it or would it work out for me, he would always tell me one, to
Mhm.
pray. He would say,
Pray.
pray, baby, have you prayed? When's the last time you read your Bible?
Mhm.
He would say, you
Mhm.
probably should go back to church. And then
Yes.
he would say, you need to bet on yourself. No matter
Yes.
what, if you have belief in yourself and you bet on yourself, no matter what happens, you
Mhm.
did your best and
That's
you
right.
put your best foot forward. And he would
Yeah.
say to me, if not now, then when? And if
Mm-hmm.
not you, then who?
Yes.
So I always ask people on this show to tell the listeners about their bet on self moment. And I know we've been sort of talking about a lot of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Something that comes to mind that maybe you hadn't thought about was like, Dag, I've done this. Or are you in a bet on self season? Liz
Mm-hmm.
Miranda told me, she said, I'm in a bet on self season, sis. And I
Yep.
like that. So,
Yep.
Shonda Little, tell us about one of your bet on self moments.
Don't beat yourself down. Don't beat yourself up. If you can't change the problem, find a solution to fix the problem. For me, bet on myself. I bet on myself every day because I don't believe in failure. I don't believe in giving up. I believe when I fall, I'm gonna get back up. I'm going to, just like you said, pray changes things. That's right. But I know sometimes we do fall short of some things. Do we sit in it? No. We might meditate on it for a second, but we ain't staying in there. We getting up, we gonna rise again, we gonna lift our head up high, and we gonna keep it pushing because that's what we do. And for me, that's me betting on myself because there's been times when I doubted myself on doing certain events, like big events. I always doubt myself. And one thing that my bestie always tell me, you got this. Why are you worrying about it? You got this. And it's just that little push that you get from someone that keeps saying, and it's like, why am I being stressed? And I done did this like 100 times already. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you bet on yourself, you always believe that you can do whatever you put your mind to. Whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. It's okay to fail at some things, but do we sulk in the failure? No, we can't sulk. We gotta learn how to pick up because you're not always gonna have that person in your ear telling you to get up. You're not gonna have that. So you have to have that mind of your own and say, you know what? Let me get my behind up here and make and bust a move. Cause that's what we gotta do sometimes. So betting on self is not giving up. It's
Mm.
keep it pushing
And bust a move. And
and
bust,
bust a move.
bust a move. You know, one of the things that I love about what you just said was about being okay with failing, but don't sulk.
Mhm. Yeah.
How did you learn that? Where did that come from to be okay with failing? Because that is why a lot of people don't do stuff. Is that the idea of failing is debilitating. Like that's scarier than failing is the thought of it.
Mhm.
So how did you learn that?
Because I failed. I failed, and it took someone to say to me, "It's okay to fail." Because I feel like at times I'm a perfectionist on what I do. So if I burn a pan of mac and cheese, I'm beating myself up because I'm like, how did I let that happen? I'm better than that. I'm better than, but it's okay to have this burned mac and cheese. It's okay. But to me it was like, no, it's not okay because you're a pro at this. Why is it burned? But it took someone to say, Shonda, it's just mac and cheese. You'll get over it. So I had to really focus in on that aspect of it and be like, you know what, you're right. It's just mac and cheese. It's nothing I can do. It's burnt already. I'm gonna just make another one. You know, you got to be okay with that. And that's where, for me, that's how it began because I did something wrong to a dish and I got really upset with myself because I allow it to happen. So that was my failure. But I've learned from it. So I don't stress over that stuff no more. I'm more cautious, but I don't stress over it because I used to stress over stuff like that.
So it sounds like experience and
Yeah.
reinforcement from people
Yeah.
in your circle. I think
Yeah.
shout out to everyone. If you understand it and you get it, give us some thumbs up, some hearts. But
Hmm.
failure is the biggest deterrent, I would say.
Yeah.
For
Hmm.
people, They get stuck with the idea of failing for embarrassment,
Yeah.
shame, guilt, or whatever.
Yeah.
And what I've learned through everything is you will always miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right.
100% of the shots you will miss them if you don't take them. So
Mhm.
it's like getting in a place of like at every point, every step in our lives
Mhm.
failed. Like if you think about a child that when they transition from crawling to walking, they
Mhm.
have more times of tripping up, falling, and
Mhm.
maybe you were a kid that you just got up and you took your steps and you didn't wobble. But I don't
Yeah.
know any kid that didn't wobble,
That's right.
that didn't, sit back down on the floor and
Mhm.
get up and try it again. I don't know
Mhm.
anyone that didn't have that
Mhm.
experience. Think about something that you wanted to learn. Everybody has one subject that you had to study a little bit harder for. Even if you were
Mhm.
smart as a whip, because there's people that things came naturally. And then
Yeah.
you that one class that you had to try a little bit harder in. So
That's
everybody
right.
has flexed that muscle of not knowing what to do and having to learn something for the first time.
That's right.
I think as we become adults, we start to forget that and we get
Yeah.
scared because
Mhm.
something didn't go right or someone shames you. Why would
Yeah.
you do that? That was stupid. That was dumb.
Mhm.
You'll never
Mhm.
that doesn't make no sense. Or just,
Yeah.
the things that people can say and you
Yeah.
listen to them.
Yeah.
Why do we listen to people like that, do you think? I got
I think people do that for validation purposes, but you can't one of the viewers was saying that they that it was hard for them to know their worth at the beginning because they felt like they had to cater to everybody.
Yep. Thank you, Miss
You don't
Regina,
have
the
to.
mindfulnista. Shout out to
Yeah.
you. Shout out to Wonder. Shout out to the Date and Reset podcast. Carlos, DJ Black. Thank y'all for tuning in. Everybody on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and iHeartRadio, of course. Thank you. We
Yeah.
appreciate y'all for tuning in. Again, y'all are listening to the Urban Heat. If you didn't know that already, we are radio with a purpose, and I am your favorite around the way therapist. They call me Coach. And we got Shonda Little in the building,
Yes.
way of South Carolina tonight, but
South
she
Carolina.
owner and the sole operator of Southern Twist Catering. And she does 2 annual events that are really big here in Boston. One is for sickle cell, and the other one is for mental health awareness. So we've been chopping it up, trying to get y'all to get to know Miss Shonda. If you don't know her already, you need to go follow her on Southern
Yes.
Catering on Instagram and also
Yes.
Shonda Little on Facebook. And sis, you doing it. You're doing it. And
Yes.
you're an example for all those that maybe at one point wasn't sure about
Mhm.
starting their business or get caught up in what other people think or that there's other
Mhm.
events doing the same thing.
Mhm.
Rihanna is now a billionaire. There was already a Victoria's Secret. And
Mm.
somebody told her, well, why would you create Fenty when there's already a Victoria's Secret? And she said, well, there's no Fenty and there's no.
Exactly.
So don't get worried about what everybody else is doing because
No.
there's only one Shonda, there's only one Lakeisha, aka Coach. There's
Yeah.
only one of us, and that's what makes each one of us unique, is that
That's
we
right.
are individual selves. So keep on betting on self, people. Don't
That's
don't get
right.
caught up in the naysayers.
No.
Don't do it. So
Don't
what
do it.
what is some I know you gave us your favorite quote by Michelle Obama, but we got like 7 minutes left to the show.
Mhm.
What nuggets do you want to leave people? One, to get them to come to your event, and two,
Mhm.
to inspire someone who might be sitting at home right now that wants to start a catering business and hasn't done so because they're
So for
scared.
that, so for that part, just do it. Just do it. You wouldn't know if you're not good at something if you don't give it a try. So you got to do it. And if you're doing it fails, do it again. Don't stop. If you have a passion for something, apply yourself. You got to apply yourself. You can't just go with it one time and say, "Oh, it didn't work out." You know how many times I've tried? I tried several times. But once I put my product out and I just kept applying to it. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the work. So that's with any small business owner. If you're trying to start a business, it don't even have to be catering. It could be whatever. Apply yourself. That is the goal. That is what you need to do. Just apply yourself. And what was the first question you asked me?
So you're on the fence about getting a ticket to the event. What, and you're unsure, $65, maybe you don't really think sickle cell is a big deal, and that didn't sell you. What is something that you want them to know on why they need to be there on September 28th?
You never know who you're gonna help with your giving. I know, and this is just coming from a spiritual realm. It's always blessed to give than to receive. That's a true statement, because I'm gonna tell you, every time I give to something, I get it back, and it don't even have to be monetary. It can be anything. You know what I'm saying? So just know your giving is not in vain, because it's going to a good cause. You can help a child, a family, someone who is going through this disease, who are struggling to get to appointments, struggling with medication. The money and the support is definitely going to help a family, a person, to get through this disease. So just know that, when you guys give, it's not coming to me. The check is written right there on the spot. Everything is going to that person to help support the cause of sickle cell anemia.
Listen, y'all heard it right here on Urban Heat 98.1 FM. I know that serving and giving is one of the ways to get purpose really quickly. So for those of you that are looking for a purpose or looking for something to feel good about, you get a chance coming to this event to actually talk to people who are dealing with and or managing it. And I think that is always, it brings it to life. You'd be surprised just taking lifts and Ubers, because this
Yeah.
is so debilitating that you can't drive yourself. So you have to get in a Lyft or Uber. And those rides add up. So little simple things that you don't think is a big deal. Or even if you're like, oh, $2,000, that doesn't seem like a lot. It can be a lot. Like, that can get people to and from a couple of doctor's appointments,
That's right.
throughout the year. That might be what that helps with. Medication, just so many things. So I think it's just a beautiful thing that you're doing. I think that more of us should do things like that. But if you don't have it in you to do a whole event, find an event that needs support and help, from buying a ticket to coming and volunteering that day. Volunteers are always needed for these things.
That's right.
The vendors, just being a chaperone to help people get in and off the elevators and seats. Like, you'd be surprised the things that you could do. And
Yes.
at a church, they said if you couldn't tithe 10%, 10% of your time, right?
Yep.
If you were
That's
an
right.
accountant, or if you were a child care provider, donate 10% of that to the church, to a
Yep.
cause. So it's so
Yep.
many different ways to give back and to be a blessing to your community.
That's
And
right.
for those of you that are struggling with mental health, that is a quick way to change mental health around, is to volunteer, to donate, and get connected to a cause, because it
That's
helps
right.
purpose.
Yep. And we all can make a difference, whether big or small. It don't matter. Your giving is not in vain.
Not at all. And if you can't get a whole ticket, there's a donation button. You can do whatever you want to do. You can donate
That's right.
amount of money if that's what you want to do. If you want to do $10, $15, whatever you want to donate, will be well received.
That's right.
So last but not least, how can they, if they want you to cater something?
So they can inbox me. They can go on my business page, Southern Twist, on Instagram or Facebook. Also, if they want to email me an order, they can email me at Southern Twist Catering 18@gmail.com, or they can reach me by calling me 978-971-2146.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, you guys have been listening to the Urban Heat 98.1 FM. And guess what? Your radio with a purpose. And we will
Yes.
see you next week for another conversation with Coach La. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
91fm.com. iHeartStation.